SIU Advocate Mutibi, who's here with us. We've got the Deputy Minister of Health, Dr. Joe Patla, who is also here with us. And we've got the MEC with us here. All the principals are here. The MEC of Health is here. Without any waste of time, we want to delve into the issues. And the first person that will be coming here to give the presentation of what the report is saying will be the head of the Special Investigating Unit, Advocate Andy Mutibi, who will come and outline the whole report. And then after that, we'll have the Minister of Health who will respond, and then the Premier of Gauteng will respond before we do a Q&A. Advocate, the stage is yours.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Khanyaho. Let me also acknowledge the Deputy Minister of Health and the Premier of the Provincial Government of Gauteng and the MEC of Health in the Provincial Department of Gauteng. Oh, right. As the Program Director has indicated, we are pleased today to release the interim report in the SIU investigations in the hospital. The investigations are still ongoing. However, the matters that are reported on that are completed, action is already been taken. So that evidence has revealed a number of maladministration, corruption, and other public procurement irregularities. This indeed would be described as devastating plunder of the public funds, which we found in our probe. We have uncovered, or the investigation has uncovered, up to date, 3 coordinated syndicates responsible for the loss of over 2 billion. And I'd like to acknowledge at this stage, I'll still come back to that initially when the investigation commenced, at the instance is by referral from the Office of the Premier back in 2022, we had found at that stage that through the whistleblower and one of the many, and the main one that's known, it's Babita Diokran, and may her soul rest in peace. At the time when we commenced, she had flagged suspicious activities of about 850 million. But when the investigation progressed, and as you can see, to date we are mentioning about 2 billion, so it has gone up almost twofold, if not threefold, and the investigation is still ongoing. So this staggering sum of money intended for the provision of health care at the Tembisa Hospital to take care of the most vulnerable was instead ruthlessly siphoned off through a complex web of fraud and corruption, representing an egregious betrayal of the public trust. Today, as I indicated, we are releasing the interim report of the Tembisa Hospital investigation. As I indicated, the release of the interim report is informed by how complex the investigation is and does require further investigation. However, as complex as it is, we have been able to uncover irregularities, fraudulent activities, and corrupt activities by officials and service providers. Just to indicate other instances where really we have been able to uncover similar irregularities, this you may recall in our working relationship with the Minister of Health present here today has enabled us to uncover wrongdoing and corruption in other investigations, such as in the Home Affairs, investigation at the refugee centers and other areas at Home Affairs, where the minister at the time, he was still the Minister of Home Affairs at the time, he had referred the matters to SIU for investigation. The SIU, for the Home Affairs part, as you may know, the investigation is ongoing there. We will again soon be releasing a report related to that investigation. Another investigation, as you may recall, is the investigation into the medico-legal, which is so complex, where we released interim report with the Minister of Health in attendance. We are mentioning all of this just so that we draw a parallel, that the complexity of the investigation here at the Tembisa is no different. However, our investigators have really worked hard and dug deep. Let me also mention that in the Tembisa Hospital, the SIU has worked closely with the Office of the Premier. In September 2022, the Office of the Premier referred matters to the Special Investigating Unit to be investigated. I will return to this at a later stage. That investigation at the time, we did not have a proclamation as yet, but we did what's called in the SIU Act a secondment agreement. And substantive findings were made even at that stage, where the Premier, and really we acknowledge that action was taken even at the time. Right. Currently, the SIU is probing allegations relating to the Tembisa Hospital and has to date identified, as I indicated, 3 major syndicates that have appropriated about 2 billion meant for the healthcare at the Tembisa Hospital. An analysis of about 2,207 procurement bundles have revealed serious maladministration and procurement fraud. Key officials from the Department of Health in Gauteng and the Tembisa Hospital are accused of benefiting from corrupt payments that facilitated the irregular payments. And they are not just accused. Evidence has been found that indicates that the officials have been paid corruptly by the service providers. And these service providers have really caused that the officials be involved in money laundering, fraud through fronting, and the use of false supply chain management documents. The investigation currently involves 207 service providers who traded with the Tembisa Hospital under 4,501 purchase orders. So I indicated earlier on that the bundles of 2,207 and 4,501 purchase orders. Each purchase order, the evidence has revealed, is linked to a purported 3-code procurement process, purportedly involving 3 competitive bidders. We're saying purportedly because investigations has actually proved that there was nothing to be purchased, or nothing was purchased as a result of that. Money was actually siphoned. The total value of matters under investigation at the moment, as I indicated, is over 2 billion. These numbers are constantly updated as new companies are identified through ongoing investigations and the flow of funds involving irregularly appointed service providers at the Tembisa Hospital. Now, I'd like to focus on the syndicates that to date we have uncovered. We have uncovered a syndicate that's referred to as the Maumela Syndicate. And we are mentioning this surname Maumela simply because it has already been publicized. There has been an asset forfeiture order that was announced of Maumela Syndicate. So the Maumela Syndicate refers to the syndicate that is linked to Hangwani Morgan Maumela. The SIU is reviewing 1,728 bundles worth 816 million related to the Maumela Syndicate and has completed to date 924 analyses, uncovering significant irregularities. So the SIU has traced about 41 suppliers or service providers linked to this Maumela Syndicate. 3 of the companies that were awarded contracts to the value of 13,538,292 in this syndicate are linked to Vusi Muzi Matlala. So this Vusi Muzi Matlala would have come in as part of the syndicate that, according to our evidence, is really led by this Maumela. Maumela's identified assets amount to around 520 million, including luxury vehicles and properties valued at 293 million. Notable properties include about a 75 million property in Bantry Bay and various others in Gauteng. The SIU has assisted the National Prosecuting Authority asset forfeiture to identify assets linked to Maumela, which has resulted in the NPA's asset forfeiture unit preserving some of the Maumela's assets. These assets include the following. We're not mentioning sort of all of them, but you can find them in the order that was issued. The property in Hartbeespoort, Northwest, 2 properties in Sandton, Gauteng, property in Zimbali Estate, Balito, Durban, and KwaZulu-Natal, 2 twin tower properties in Cape Town, Western Cape, and some of the motor vehicles include Lamborghini, Urus, Lamborghini Hurricane, Lamborghini Aventador. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. These are some of the vehicles names that is very difficult to announce. And another Lamborghini Urus, Bentley Continental, Isuzu D-Max, a multi-purpose trailer, Badger Fire Blast CC, Regency 250 LE boat. As I indicated, that there are further assets that have been freezed by AFU, but I'm pleased to announce that we really wanted to mention further assets and other vehicles that we would have freezed, but we wanted to make sure that we follow the legal process and institute those proceedings in the special tribunal. We did so. We had hoped for the order at the latest by Friday, or at least the weekend. That order came in only this morning at 9 o'clock, where the special tribunal has granted the SIU an order to freeze further assets of Maumela to a tune of 500 million, I'm informed by our legal officials. So we will communicate that order later today, as we always do, and indicate the kind of assets that has been freezed. And remember, we do these freezes as part of ensuring that whenever we have to recover the monies that the department has lost, in particular Tembisa, so that all of these properties can really be liquidated, converted into money that can be sent back into the department. In particular, where we're saying back to the fiscus, but we would like it to be returned really to the Department of Health. There is another syndicate that we've uncovered. We call it Mazibuko Syndicate. This is also the syndicate which is linked to a person called Rudolph Mazibuko. The SIU reviewed, in this case, about 651 bundles valued at more than 283 million. At the moment, 392 completed analysis revealing assets worth more than 42 million, including multiple properties in the Western Cape and Gauteng. We will continue to indicate and itemize the assets as the investigation goes on. Now, there's another syndicate, and we're calling it Syndicate X, simply because it's not in public yet. Work is being done, and we are hoping that we will be able to name this syndicate very soon, once it has gone through the court process. But 1,237 procurement bundles to the value of more than 596 million, fraud and irregularities, and the identification of secondary conduit accounts used to launder funds connected to the Tembisa Hospital. With assets, additionally, SIU has found other smaller syndicates, and we say smaller syndicates simply because of the values. Yet in public, Syndicate A, 3 service providers, which we will be naming soon, once the legal process is through. 3 service providers with payments of 9.6 million. Another Syndicate B, 6 service providers with a value of 76 million plus. Syndicate C, 5 service providers who got more than 8 million. Syndicate D, 6 service providers with more than 37 million. Syndicate E, 4 service providers totaling more than 3 million. Syndicate F, 3 service providers linked to 1 director receiving more than 28 million. As I indicated, the investigation is ongoing, continuously revealing new connections and irregularities. I now move to the implicated officials. To date, the SIU evidence has revealed a total value of corrupt payments linked to officials and employees at the Gauteng Department of Health and at the Tembisa Hospital. Those corrupt payments total 122,228,000. This is the money that has been confirmed by evidence that has been paid to the officials. The SIU has identified at least 15 current and former officials involved in activities such as corruption, money laundering, collusion, bid rigging with improperly appointed service providers at Tembisa Hospital. These individuals abused their positions throughout the procurement process to benefit the service providers and enrich themselves. This number of identified officials is expected to rise as the investigation continues. The officials range from entry-level clerks to a lower level management level officials. To date, the SIU has prepared 116 disciplinary referrals against these officials, of which 108 were delivered to the Gauteng Department of Health relating to maladministration, corruption, as well as irregular appointment of service providers at the Tembisa Hospital. There's been one matter that has to date been held back. As I said, the other officials' names may still come up because the investigation is really working hard to link them to the losses. Other officials have already been referred, as I indicated. We have observed that these officials implicated are at a lower level of employment. If you look into the report, and in fact, I've asked my colleague to make a list of those officials, but if you look in the report, those officials are itemized, again, because they are at a, you will really realize that it is at this lower level, particularly at the procurement SCM level, where the most damage is caused. We have observed that they are at the lower levels, and these are the employees who have to date caused more losses to the Tembisa Hospital. As I indicate, we are investigating in other areas. The phenomenon of lower level officials causing more damage has been observed in other investigations. An example I can make is in the Home Affairs investigation, the refugee processing. You know, those lower levels that are processing refugee applications, they are the ones really causing damage. So it is really incumbent as we overhaul and review the system that we look at this lower level processing and what kind of checks and balances can be put and what kind of mitigation measures can be put in place. Right, we would like to share with the public the method which was used by these syndicates and go about committing all of these fraudulent and corrupt activities. We found that they commit procurement fraud. The SIU found that service providers were appointed using fraudulent documents for a flawed three-code system to bypass the tender process, keeping transactions values at just under 500,000. The deliberate splitting of orders violated the Gauteng Department of Health procurement policy, which prohibits syndicate activities. The syndicate activities, as you may really observe, really it's the organized nature of this, of committing these corrupt activities here. Numerous invoices for similar amounts, of course, uncovered extensive corruption. The investigation reveals a pattern of corruption by officials and service providers, significantly undermining the intended purpose of allocated funds. A sound procurement process typically includes a purchase request form guidelines. However, the SIU found that these protocols were circumvented, allowing for further irregularities and authority within the department and Tembisa Hospital's operations, including fronting. Request for quotation procurement process involves the following steps. This is really just high level. You can read in the report where the details are. It involves a purchase request. This form outlines the available budget, required items, and estimated unit price, and must be signed by the end user and authorized by the CEO. Number two, submission of submission to supply chain management. The completed form is sent to the SCM section, which handles the distribution of RFQs, evaluation, adjudication, and recommendation for service providers. Each bid should include quotation, relevant CIPC documents, director identifications, and so on. In this investigation, all of what, in fact, most of what was submitted were fraudulent. This is what the investigation picked up. Now, In the report, you'll also see that we depict the procurement process overview, which would include the purchase order and composition of the procurement bundle. There is what's called the transit office. The transit office receives all order. Goods are categorized as either store deliveries, items like toilet paper and bandages, or direct deliveries, specific items for certain wards, right? And then receiving store items, receiving direct deliveries, procurement conclusion. But this process, we're stating it as a required process, but it was circumvented in this case. Right. In any procurement process, there would be losers, called unsuccessful bidders. But evidence and our investigators uncovered that the unsuccessful bidders also were part of this scheme. So they would have been requested to submit quotations through these syndicates, but they would know already that they are not going to get it, and that when they don't get it, they get paid. So the SIU identified various links between the winning bidders and the unsuccessful bidders through electronic money transfers, shared directorships, and collusion amongst family members, etc. To date, the SIU has been able to identify patterns to the combined value of more than 1 million, which were made directly or indirectly on behalf of the successful bidders or the syndicates to the unsuccessful bidders who purportedly competed against the unsuccessful service providers. Right. The actions of SCM and relevant authorities as required. The CEO of Tembisa at the time authorized the appointment of non-compliant bidders, raising questions about the lack of oversight from the previous CEO's office, given the frequent approvals of requests for quotations. Tembisa Hospital SCM official requested purchase orders for these non-compliant bidders from the Gauteng Department of Health. We're calling it head office, but it's the department level. Yet, no concerns were raised regarding the unusually high number of POs processed. Right, we also looked at the actions of the Gauteng Department of Health officials. We found that non-compliant bidders were issued compliance certificates without raising any red flags. The SIU found no evidence of concern from the department regarding the RFQs processed. The same individuals who issued these irregular compliance certificates also approved purchase orders for non-compliant bidders, violating the principle of segregation of duties. Irregularities were only suspected at the time when Ms. Babita Diokran, in August 2021, as I indicated when I started, she at the time flagged about 850 million worth of transactions. At the time, and this is where her intervention proved very, very immensely valuable. At the time is then when the Office of the Premier and SIU entered into a secondment agreement, and we started investigating and digging deep. And some findings were made, actions was taken, but that led to a proclamation, which then dug even deeper. There is an office called the Transit Office. The SIU confirmed that goods received vouchers were recorded in the system before the transit supervisor signed off on deliveries. There is an inconsistency in delivery records compared to the number of purchase orders, suggesting that many goods may not have been delivered at all. Right, now, at the end, or even during the investigations, I indicated that some of the processes would have been completed. We have referred some of the service providers to the authorities, and we call those administrative referrals so that administrative action can be taken. To date, SIU referred 25 matters to the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority, called SAPRA, relating to the contravention of the legislation related to the Medicines and Related Substance Act. And amongst others, we have already referred matters to the National Prosecuting Authority, even during this investigation at this interim stage. As I indicated already, NPA and the Asset Forfeiture Unit are already taking action. They are collaborating with the SIU team, the Hawks. The Hawks is already investigating as well. So to date, SIU has referred about 4 matters to the National Prosecuting Authority for corruption involving the officials at the Tembisa Hospital and implicated service providers of Tembisa Hospital. Only these service providers that have been referred to NPA at this stage. There's more that will be referred. The value thereof is more than 42 million. Right. As I indicated, we as SIU and the Asset Forfeiture Unit, we will be working hard to ensure that we recover the monies that the department or Tembisa Hospital has lost. We'll recover it from the officials that are involved. We'll recover it from the service providers. So, as I indicated, to date there's about 116 referrals for discipline for action to be taken. I need to indicate we need to ensure that there's monitoring of these referrals and to ensure that action is taken. So these referrals will also be sent to the Minister of Health to monitor and ensure that disciplinary action is taken against this official. The officials and their levels, as I indicated, are itemized in the interim report. Because of the time, I will not go into one by one. As I said, I requested the list to be printed so that you can see. The highest level paid to an official, it's in the region of 28 to 30 million corrupt payment to an official, and the others range from various amounts. So you can really see that the extent of the collusion with the service providers was really immense. And we are really pleased at this stage that we have really taken this action. From the time it started through the Office of the Premier with the investigation under the proclamation, the observation, although not determinative at this stage, the observation is that we may have stopped this complete at the final report. Right, we've done some comparisons, which I will not read them in detail because of the time. We have conducted a comparative analysis to paint a picture of the corruption taking place at Tembisa Hospital. You will find that depicted in the yeah, there we go. It's shown there. I'm not sure if those who are not in the room are able to see the screen, but it's depicted in the report. Between 2018 and 2019, to uncover potentially fraudulent activities, right? The analysis of medical supplies showed a marked increase in expenditure from 315 million in 2018-2019 to 598 million. All this fraudulent and corrupt increase may be related to COVID. In 2022 and 2023 to 255 million, right? This is at the time. It coincides with the time when Babita Deokaran flagged all the suspicious transactions. And you would have realized that when the release of the Gauteng Office of the Premier's SIU Secondment Investigation Report in 2022 would have indicated that decrease, and that would have indicated the curtailment of the syndicate activity. Additionally, despite the steady inpatient admissions between 2018 and 2024, significant spending increases on the medical patient numbers dropped in expenditure post 2022 and 23 coincided with the rising patient numbers. Right, as I indicated, that we had a secondment to a proclamation. I'm sure that when the Premier comes to the stage, he'll probably indicate that. Right, we've made some interim observations which are fully itemized in the report, but amongst others, we found that the investigation really highlights a comprehensive disregard for duty by officials at Tembisa and the department. Those responsible for procurement ignored fundamental regulations. Accounting officers abdicated their oversight role entirely. The failure of officials to perform their duties allowed for the unchecked spending of public funds with no verification of whether what was procured was necessary or represented fair value for the state. In a sense, officials were active participants in the malpractice or turned a blind eye, effectively allowing the public purse to be looted through a combination of maladministration, corruption, and collusion with third parties. Now, the SIU report stresses that stemming this rot requires a direct focus on the individuals in these roles. And it recommends appointing officials to prove that extent to family members to uncover illicit gains. Critically, the environment must really be overhauled and changed. Officials at these levels must be, at all levels, must be empowered by practice and, most importantly, decisive investigating law enforcement agency. Directorate for Priority Crime Investigations, called DPCI, and the Hawks. We also collaborate with Financial Intelligence Center, where they assist us in following the money. And of course, we also collaborate with South African Police Service in general. We also collaborate with the South African Revenue Service. In line with the Special Investigating Unit and Special Tribunals Act, we will, when we pick up evidence pointing to criminal act, refer all these matters to NPA, collaborate with NPA to ensure that criminal prosecution follows. We will also ensure that officials that have involved themselves in procurement, corruption, and maladministration are referred, and consequence management should follow. As I conclude, we anticipate, we are releasing the interim report today. The investigation will continue. And I would like to really emphasize the complexity of this investigation really required that I give the team further time to investigate. So we anticipate, the team said to me that they will finalize the completion in November of 2027. But I indicated that no, November 2027 is far, and we don't want to perpetuate the perception that we take long to investigate. So I can assure you, as members of the public, that this investigation will be completed earlier than November 2027. I've requested them to go back and come back with a date into next year, where we can complete this investigation and ensure that there's certainty in the environment, there's certainty in the health, in the health service. Now, we acknowledge, really, we wouldn't have done this to this stage had it not been for the whistleblowers who really risk their lives. And we know, I still repeat, the intervention and the contribution of Babita Diokran really saw us kickstart this investigation to where we are today. We really are greatly indebted, and may her soul rest in peace. We know that there's continuous acknowledgement. But But the question that always comes up is the issue around whistleblower protection. And we are on record as saying measures are being taken. As SIU particularly, we have set aside budget to ensure that where there's a need, whistleblowers are protected. As government, the Department of Justice is reviewing the legislation that relates to whistleblower protection. The current legislation is narrow, as you know, that it focuses on employer-employee prejudices. The legislation, as it's reviewed, it's really going to have a wider definition of a whistleblower and afford whistleblowers a wider protection. We are aware that those measures, the legislative measures will now be, or will soon be put into the legislative program, so that the legislation can now really legislate for wider protection of whistleblowers. I would like to also acknowledge the investigators and also indicate that we take steps to protect them where necessary. And I would really want to ultimately also acknowledge the role of the media. Media has also played a key role in really reporting some of this maladministration and corrupt activities. We continue and we urge you to continue to report those. So, at the end, the interim report can be found at SIU website, www.siu.org.za. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Advocate. Just before I call the next person to speak, I wanted to say that our official hashtag is Tembisa Hospital Capture. Hashtag computer Tembisa Hospital Capture for all that wants to tweet on, so that we can make this trend. And then secondly, Advocate Mutibi was talking about a list of all the officials and how much they got. We have now released the report to all of you through our WhatsApp group, and they are all of that is in page 29, 30, 31, and 32. You will see with the highest person getting around about 30 million rand, one person. Therefore, I just wanted to make note of that. At this point in time, can I ask the Minister of Health to come and respond to what he has just heard? Minister?
Thank you very much, Kaiser. Thank you, Advocate TV, and let me acknowledge the Premier, the Deputy Minister, and the MEC. I'm not sure, Kaiser, whether I'm responding to what the Advocate has said or I'm adding my own things. But what I could just say is wow, and a big wow, Advocate. And you'll remember the wow I also made to you before, last year. The question which I am struggling, maybe somebody within this house will help me. Why Tembisa Hospital? Why Tembisa Hospital? Why was it selected by so many syndicates? What was their purpose and what drove them? I think those questions need to be answered. Advocate, you mentioned Home Affairs quite a number of times. And you also mentioned the issue of small fish and junior officials. And I'm very, very happy about that, because I'm one of the people who was getting worried that every time people who do malfeasance are caught, if they are junior, people get discouraged and say, no, no, no. Where is the big fish? Why was the big fish left behind? And they don't get happy and they don't regard that as an achievement, the issue of small fish and big fish. I'm saying so because my experience, as you said, in Home Affairs, showed me the amount of damage that is done by the so-called small fish. But before I go into them, let me mention here, okay, that these syndicates we have mentioned here, whether it's Maumela, whether it's Mazibuko, whether it's Ket Matlala, whether it's X, even with their infinite wisdom or thuggery, they could not have achieved what they did without the cooperation and participation of government officials who may happen to be junior, who you call small fish. It will not have happened without them. If they did not want it to happen, these syndicates will have been nothing and they will have achieved nothing. And so we must, while we're chasing the syndicates, we must also look inside about our own officials and how we are going to make sure that in future we don't have that. The second thing I want to mention, I see similarities here. Many of you, as the advocate has said many times today, about the late Babita Deokaran, may her soul rest in peace, who led us to this investigation and lost her life. Many of you don't know. It's me and the Kaiser and the advocate who know that we nearly had a Babita Deokaran, or that there was another Babita Deokaran look-alike in Home Affairs. And it looks like the modus operandi is the same. And because I'm going to make proposals on what I think should be done, I think I need to outline these two cases. In Home Affairs, our Babita Deokaran was a gentleman who was commonly known as Mr. T. It's not because of your legalities, advocate. It's because he has got a very complex vendor name, which will twist the tongues of those who are not from Limpopo. So they just call him Mr. T. He was working at the biggest refugee reception center in the country. And he discovered corruption there. A very diligent gentleman who hates corruption with all its manifestations. And when he testifies against an official, that official is gone. There's no way you'll survive. He's very diligent. He keeps records. If he appears in front of a tribunal or whatever to testify, you are gone. And the so-called small fish, people who are working in that reception center, are very, very junior, as you're saying, advocate. This small fish decided, just like here in Tembisa, they decided that Babita must go, must be removed forever. They also decided that Mr. T must go. And a few days before he was due to testify against some 11 officials, they sent an assassin who pumped 4 bullets into Mr. T. And Mr. T was taken to hospital, to ICU, and he survived those bullets. He was given a 6 months leave. And after 6 months, he came back. He started where he has left off. He continued doing exactly what he was doing before he was shot. And 2 days before he was due to testify again, 2 more bullets were pumped into him. And just like the first 4 bullets, he survived them. Mr. T survived. And how I knew about him, we had a very strong counter-corruption unit in Home Affairs. They just told me that there is a Mr. T who has just retired, minister, and this is what happened to him. And we want you to visit him. And so that he must realize that he has not been thrown away or thrown to the wolves, because he's in hiding. I visited Mr. T, as you remember, advocate. I sat with him for 2 hours. When he finished his story, I said, wow, this is not for me. From what he told me, I decided not to go to the police. I went to Advocate Mutibi. I said, this is bigger than me, Advocate. Come and listen to this man. And I took him there, somewhere within the Republic of South Africa, to talk to Mr. T. And when he listened to his story, he said, wow. He went to fetch his team to come and sit with him. And when they finished, they went straight to a judge who did not hesitate. From the information Mr. T gave, who did not hesitate to give an order for a search and seizure. Many of you in the media attended that. The search and seizure at the Maraba Start Reception Center. It used to have the name of Desmond Tutu. It has been changed. And it was 10 days before the elections last year. And people thought it was just electioneering. They told me so. Many journalists told me this is just electioneering. Nothing will come out of it. Now, why am I relating this story? Because Babita did exactly what Mr. T was doing, and she lost her life. Mr. T did not lose his life, but he's in hiding. He's in hiding. He can't live a free life. The people who killed Babita and who put Mr. T in hiding are driving Lamborghinis. Lamborghini Urus and the ones you couldn't pronounce, advocate. They are living a free life. Now, what type of country are we going to become? That the public servants, who are the real public servants, are the ones that are in hiding, and the scavengers are driving Lamborghinis. Surely none of us would like to live in that type of country. I know what I'm going to say. Many of you here might criticize me, but I'm going to say it anyway. When things like this happen, you start appreciating why the Chinese execute people to remove them from society. You start appreciating it. I'm not saying we can do it. We are a different country. But you start appreciating and understanding why they go to that extent. Because they don't want to live in hiding and let the thugs run amok. When Mr. T, when I visited him, he was still testifying. He testified by virtual. Even now, as I'm talking, still having cases where he's testifying by virtual. I asked him, Mr. T, why you survived twice and he's still having bullets in his body, which doctors may not remove because they are in very sensitive places of the body, and they will kill him if they try to remove them. I asked him, why do you still continue, even after surviving twice? He gave me 2 answers which are still shaking me. He said, Minister, people fought for this freedom and lost their lives I am not about to give the freedom to the thugs in this country. I may as well lose my life. That will be my contribution to this country. That's what he told me. The second thing was very religious. When Mr. T was shot for the second time, he was just leaving church. Just as he stepped out of the church, they pumped the 2 bullets. Very religious. So the second reason he gave me, he said, Minister, why did I survive twice? Whoever is controlling life and death must have decided that I must be having a purpose in life. That's why he left me here. That's why he didn't take me away, because I must still do something for this country. And so I'm going to continue doing it. Now, advocate, I don't know what powers you have to make recommendations to the people in power in this country. I'm not in power. I'm just, yes. To the people in power in this country, to make a recommendation about these people, because I agree and I appreciate our democracy. But these people are going to be fired, most probably, after DC. If people are going to testify unlike Mr. T, some might be arrested and sentenced, but they are going to get parole and come back and enjoy their Lamborghinis. They are going to get parole. Others are already getting bail. So will all these exercises help us? You have referred cases to me, and I cherish that. Does it help us or does it help the country? Because one thing I know, people who do this never stop, and don't think I'm joking. And the story, another story of small fish. In Home Affairs, we used to have a post-level 6 worker. Those who don't know what level 6 is, a DG is level 16. So you can imagine level 6 is down there, like you are saying, Lex. This man, unfortunately, he comes from my province, level 6. He used to have 5 luxury cars, among them a Porsche and a Mercedes, and a huge house somewhere in Raskoro or in Limpopo, with a garage for each of the cars, because he was working with people who want to come into the country illegally, rich people who were paying him, by manipulating the movement control system. Now, when they ask him, advocate, you are a lawyer, these laws we've made. There's a law called Parliament, where you tell a thug, what do you say if I arrest you? Something like that. They call it Paja. Yeah, the letters which you write, they call them audio. Yes, we have lost many cases because of audio. You are telling a thug that we know what you are doing. Can we do it? And you accept them, So this man was asked, can they remove him from the movement control system? Because he had some codes. You know what he said? He said, yes, take this thing of yours because I'm not going to be able to stop what I'm doing. And they thought he's very arrogant. And when they told me the story, I tried to analyze for the whole night. And I came to a conclusion why this fellow say he can't stop. Look at these people. Lamborghinis, what? Property. How do you maintain that? You can't stop. That chap, how was he going to maintain you can't stop. Some of them, I'm sure, have already got children in very expensive private schools and all that. How are they going to stop? And why am I emphasizing on that? The only way for us to stop them is to remove them from society. So remove them from us. That's the only way that to stop. Otherwise, they will still continue. Because even here, I'm sure after Babida died, they still continued. Even after Mr. T survived, they still continued. So I'm calling upon advocate and support me and the Premier, that Babita Diogoran and Mr. T must be given national orders, even though with Babita is posthumous, obviously. They are the ones who deserve national orders and who need the freedom of South Africa, rather than this tax getting that freedom of South Africa. So I'm sure there will be a question which will be asked by the media, because I ask why Tembisa? Why not any other hospital? But advocate, from my experience, I don't want to stop here. I'm going to sit with you and continue. I would like you to visit at least 2 more provinces after Gauteng. I would like you to do KZN and Eastern Cape. I'm not saying the others no, but I would like you to do that, and we'll sit down and I'll show you why and where and how it must happen. But as to the junior officials here, you need to help us with your power, because SIU have got power, and the powers that be. What do we do with these officials? Could there be a ruling, for instance, that once you are called, you must never, ever, ever work for the public again, regardless of how many years you serve? You must never, ever. Because we keep on recycling them. They keep on being recycled. They go here, DC, they are charged, they get parole and all that, they come back and continue what we are doing. Because, advocate, it can't be us who live in hiding. I appreciate the change of the laws to protect whistleblowers. Yes, I understand that and I support it. But I think our main function is to remove those who force whistleblowers to look for protection. They are the ones that must be removed. And I hope one day when we wake up, we'll have achieved that. But as for these ones that we've put here, we will go and process them. We'll follow all the rules. My own desire is that they must never, ever, ever see any office that serves the public again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. The last person that we go into without waste of time to allow to come to stage is the Premier. As you might have heard, we worked with him a lot around this matter when it started. Premier Panyaza Lesufi, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Program Director Kaiser Khanyao Raliwo. Let me acknowledge the Minister of Health, Dr. Aaron Mtswaledi, the Deputy Minister of Health, Dr. Joe Pasha, our MEC responsible for health and wellness, Menkomo Oralihuku, Advocate Mutibi, and your entire team that has been working on this matter. Members of the media. It was on the 13th of December 2022 that the Gauteng Provincial Government publicly released a SIU commissioned report on the state of SCM procurement at Tembisa Hospital. This was done almost 2 months after I've taken office as the Premier of this province. And when I got the report, we immediately expanded the contract that we had with SIU and requested them to extend their mandate by requesting a full declaration by the President of our country into Tembisa Hospital. So the release today of the preliminary report on Tembisa Hospital, as per the presidential proclamation, is a continuation of our efforts to fight corruption in all our institutions in this province. And I must say, this report is damning and disturbing. It confirms our suspicions that the Tembisa Hospital probe needed to be expanded. And we are grateful that SIU executed this mandate so diligently and professionally. We are ready to immediately implement these findings as contained in this report. From this report, it is clear we need to broaden this investigation to other hospitals in the province, especially those that had unexplained hike in procurement expenditures in the last few years. There are indications that the same modus operandi is taking place in other hospitals in the province, and therefore we need to move with speed. As earlier indicated, we remain the only province that have an agreement with the SIU to perform these functions on our behalf, even before the president can proclaim, because we want to exploit the capabilities of the SIU to assist us in this regard. I'm of the strong view that the SIU will accept our request to continue with this mandate in other hospitals. It is also worth noting that the corruption involved here, even though the report says can be low level, entry level, or any other level, to us corruption is corruption and it must be hunted regardless of those that are involved and the levels in which they occupy within government. So we'll stop at nothing to ensure that the managers of these institutions, or those that are leading these institutions, account for their acts. As indicated, we remain the only provincial government that have now concluded and finalized lifestyle audits of all their HODs, the DGs, as well as the MECs and the Premier, so that those that lead our institution must lead our institution fully aware that they've been watched and their lifestyle is being monitored. We've also taken a decision, the first of the province, that all those that are working within our supply chain management, they must undergo lifestyle audits. There was serious resistance to this because this is part of lifestyle audit, is not legislated. But as the provincial government, we insisted, and I want to thank the SIU, we are at the tail end of receiving reports of lifestyle audits of all supply chain managers. We are strengthening our open tender system, where tenders are adjudicated publicly in the presence of members of society, rather than in offices of managers. To date, we've released 89 forensic reports that were commissioned by departments, and we are more than willing to implement as well the recommendations that are coming from these reports. So we want to thank those that have been part of this report, those that have cooperated, and those that have provided the information that was needed. In conclusion, we also received summonses from the information regulator requesting our office to appear before the information regulator on all investigation and forensic reports that are within the care of the provincial government. We commit ourselves to cooperate with this process, as we have nothing to hide, but to be as transparent as possible on all these matters. This morning, we were also requested by the Gauteng Standing Committee on Public Accounts, SCOPA, to provide full reports of all investigations that have been conducted by the Auditor General, the Public Protector, the SIU, the National Prosecuting Authorities, the Public Service Commission, including our internal investigation. A detailed 53-long report has been dispatched to SCOPA, and we've asked our communication team to release it to you. That outline all our investigation, the progress that we've made on all these investigations. We also reiterate our call to fast-track the legal processes to establish and protect whistleblowers so that their efforts can be recognized and be supported. As Minister indicated, we support this call for people like Babita Dokaran, Cindy Somakaka, Mpho Mafole, and many others, that they should be rewarded for the hard work, the sacrifices, and the commitment they've demonstrated. Today, the minister added Mr. T. We are also supporting the Mafule family, who on the 2nd of October 2025, the killer or killers are back in court, and will continue to monitor this case to ensure that we get the relevant information. So our sincere gratitude once more to the SIU for job well done on the release of the preliminary investigation into corruption at Tembisa Hospital. And we remain grateful to you, Advocate Mutibe, and your team for this work. As indicated, our 4-year partnership agreement with the Gauteng provincial government, we will continue. And every report, either from whistleblowers or forensic reports, we will immediately dispatch it to you for further investigation on matters that need this kind of investigation. I thank you once more for your attention. Thanks so much.
The issues, and also please make sure that you indicate who you want answers from, so that it is easy. Okay. They say that questions that are relating to the Premier and the MEC, can we start there? Because the Premier has to go, and then we will then take it from there. Let's start. We're going to do 1, 2. Let's start with you.
Good morning, everyone.
Can everybody hear? Give the mic to them. Yeah, they will use my mic.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Yoliswa. I'm from Times Live. This one is from the NEC. The SIU says it uncovered 3 syndicates looting over 2 billion from Tembisa Hospital. How did such large-scale corruption escape detection under the department's watch? And also, what measures has the department put in place to ensure procurement processes cannot be manipulated through splitting of contracts below 500,000?
Where is Jeff? Oh, okay.
Jeff Wicks, News 24 Investigations. First question for the head, Advocate Mutibe. Purchase orders. They were supplied with only 13. You mentioned now in your briefing that they are examining 4,500 bundles in total. Are those bundles currently in the SIU's possession, given that your investigation is now 3 years on? And has the level of cooperation you've received from the health department improved? Second question is for the Minister Motsoaledi. You are sitting in a hospital where Shonisani Lotole was starved to death. We've just listened to a press briefing about a damning post-mortem of corruption. The HOD for Gauteng Health, Mr. Malotana, in December released a circular talking about a financial crisis in this department. At what stage will you exercise your powers and place it under administration?
Thank you. Any other in the first round? Before we give the answer for answers.
Good morning, Nkosinati Shazi from Power FM News. I just have one question. South Africa has become a mafia state, and I really want to find out from the officials here, is government, our own state, are they becoming enablers of corruption? Now, with all these figures, all these officials named, there's clearly an ecosystem of corruption in South Africa. When things go wrong in the country, people say President Ramaphosa must go, but should we not hold the same standard to whoever was leading governments at the time? I understand these things happened during the 6th administration, but is government also enablers of corruption? I see the criminals, I see the little fish, the big fish, but are the people leading this country also part of it? Thank you very much.
We'll give the responses. Start with the ABC. The first question was with you. Oh, you must come here. They say you must come here. I will keep my microphone, or you can use it here. Okay. We want everyone to come here. It's fine. We will accede to that.
Thanks so much. Thanks for the question. What we have done in terms of tightening the controls as a Department of Health, in fact, I thought people would watch into the graph. I always say I like it when people are using the graphs because numbers can't lie. On the graphs, you can see that 2003 to 2004, the last graph when I've been in the department was I arrived there on the 7th of October 2022. We got the first draft of the report immediately. Those are the results of what I've done that you can see the decline. So we've tightened controls of the Department of Health significantly, especially the supply chain processes which are in line with the applicable legislation and regulatory framework. The reforms are designed again to mitigate corruption, irregular expenditure, maladministration, while fostering accountability and transparency in public procurement. All procurement transactions between 500,000 to 1 million are now undergoing a mandatory vetting, all of them, approval by the Gauteng Provincial Treasurer. We're not doing that alone, prior awarding, which it was not done before. This measure is then a direct compliance with the public PFMA, as you know, of 1999. And then again, what we've done, we have introduced the vetting requirement that ensures the alignment with Treasury regulation. I'm sure you know at Treasury in the PFMA we've got 16A, 6A, 4 and 4A and 4, which obliges institutions to apply appropriate tendering system when procuring goods and services that are prescribed. I've done that because part of the reasons, if you remember, when Premier deployed me to the Department of Health, my first role was to ensure that I put up the systems. Hence, those systems are there, are done by me. There's no one else that have done it. Every Tuesday, Program Director, we have meetings tomorrow, every Tuesday since I've been there, without fail, that we're looking into the finances of the department, but we're checking the programs and the project that we have done. I'm sure if you can go to the latest report, even from DID, that says the department was under distress in terms of the projects that were incomplete for the past 10 years. They are no longer there now. We don't fall under that category. So the department, again, we've introduced quotation adjudication committees, which I'm sure you have seen across all health institutions. And these committees are mandated to review, adjudicate, procure requests from 2 million up to 1 million, 200,000 up to 1 million again, thereby decentralizing accountability or ensuring oversight. All CEOs and their finance managers every month, program director, they account to me on the finances. And when you do that, Treasury is there and AG, they are part of those accountabilities. So that if there's something wrong in any hospital that is happening, we're able to pick it up. It's done by me, it's chaired by myself, and the HOD is sitting next to me in those meetings. So all the functioning committees that are responsible for oversight are working in the department. And I've done that. I'm proud to say I've done that because it was not there indeed before when these things happened. Hence, I know each and every, in fact, what we've done, the vetting started at the SCM. I know each and every official there. Some have ran away, those that are scared of being vetted. They resigned, most of them. If you can go to the SCM team now that I have with new teams that are in that unit, because of the changes and the work that we've done of making sure that everyone is done. We even have a list of some of the officials already then that I think I'll talk to the 11 officials that have been identified in the first report by SIU, who were recommended for DCK inquiries and criminal charges. At that time of DE, the criminal element, some were still under investigation, that were based on the second proclamation that was done. And I'm happy that immediately when it was done, it helped us to immediately now move and address all the issues of maladministration in the department without any favor or fear. The identified officials then, one of those, the question that we're asking about why Tembisa, it was Tembisa because the CEO that was in Tembisa was leading.
Dr. A. Mtunzi. May his soul rest in peace, because he died last year. Because I don't know what happened, but he's no longer there now. Dr. L.M. Okhalabi, Dr. Monahutla, Mr. Nogogobe, Duduzile Nobungwana, Vuyani Chako, Fuyokazi Mtwesi, Mr. M.A. Mapumulo, El Mujela, Ule Mtunzi, Dr. Rudlisi, being an SCM official who served on Quotation Education Board here in Tembisa in that committee. They are all not there. Disciplinary hearings regarding Dr. Mtunzi and who was the CEO, and Dr. L.M. Mokhaladi, acting CEO, were handled by the state attorney on instructions from the Premier's office. And again, Mr. Mapumulo and El Mujele could not commence because they had left the employment of the public service at the time of commencement of the investigations. Mr. Mapumulo's whereabouts were unknown during the time of charges, and where to put the officials, other officials then, while Mujela, being the former SCM manager, went for retirement. But we managed to investigate and check who are those, because we're chasing everyone that had a hand here. Dr. Rudlisi could not commence because he went back to Cuba at the completion of his secondment to South Africa. And Vuyokazi Mtwesi could not proceed because she suffered from, which she was diagnosed of dementia, and she applied for early retirement, and the application was approved by the department. We have charged 5 officials from SCM who served under that QAC, members being Dr. Monahutli, Nobongwane Kombe, and Mtunzi and Chako, as I've said. You will get this list of these people, media. This was initially delays in the prosecution of the matter, while files then at that time were handled by state security. Once the files were handed over to the office, to the Department of Health, we were completely immediately dealt with those. The charges again faced by officials varied based on the SCM rules in their adjudication of various companies. However, the court charges was as follows. It was gross misconduct of failure to comply with decentralized supply chain management policy of 2019. And then in that, you are indicating to yourselves why we were using that. Charge number 2 was gross misconduct, which produces the administration, discipline of efficiency of a department or institution of the state. Again, the PFMA speaks to that. You will see it when you go to section 81 of the PMFA. We use that section. Then Kunoko, the state accountant, resigned in February 2024 after being charged and shortly after commencement of the DE. And his DE collapsed because his notice period lapsed the 31st of March 2024 before completion of the DE. Similar to Mr. Duzile Nobungwana and SCM manager followed suit. Ernest Munakuta was found guilty of all the charges, and the sanctions of dismissal were recommended in April 2024. Ms. Pule Mtunzi was found guilty again, and the sanctions of dismissal were recommended on the 21st of June 2024. The last one, which is the 14th official, was found guilty of all charges, and the sanction of dismissal again was recommended again on the 24th of June 2024. I think I've tried to answer the questions, Chair. If there is any, they will take follow up. Thank you.
You have, and you have even gone further than what was requested. Thank you. Advocate.
No, thank you for the questions. I'd like to respond to the questions raised by Jeff Wicks. When I presented, I also acknowledged the role played by media. All the media really have played a role, and I'm particularizing Jeff Wicks as one of the journalists. And you may be aware that he's been doing an exposition of what really happens here in Tembisa. I don't want to be seen as marketing, but you know, he wrote a book. One of the interviews I listened to this morning was his interview on Power FM, or was it one of the stations? And the interviewer actually appreciated in reading the book. So really, and I've said to our team that, we get sources of information that we convert into evidence from various sources, including some of the publications, like those published by Jeff. So, Jeff, the bundles that the team are going through now, and there's the head of the Gauteng office. He has indicated that they are in possession of the bundles. In fact, the Gauteng department has provided us with all those bundles. So we don't see that there would be any delay. The cooperation with the department, I think we've been seeing really quite an improved cooperation, and thank you for that question. I'd like to just really comment on the question raised by our colleague from Power. It's a general question that could be responded to really in so many ways. But I'd like to indicate that in all of the investigations that we do, we also go at all levels of the process that we are following. And if we find that enablers are at the lower level or middle level or higher level of the food chain, so to speak, we do not hesitate to hold anyone to account. Whether you're in leadership, whether you're in senior management or lower management. But you would have seen that there are also enablers outside of government, which are sort of private sector companies, so to speak. These are service providers that have made it their duty to collaborate and collude with the officials. Of course, it takes officials and service providers to work together and collude to now cause this loss to the state. And that is nothing other than organized crime. And it has to be dealt with as such. But the other issue that I need to indicate is that in most instances, when we investigate, we also look at what the weaknesses are in the system. Where is the system vulnerable? Right? In many instances, is management override or officials override, which is an intention on the part of the officials to really override the system. So we ask a question on how is it that the system can be fixed. So we go into systemic issues, right? So we will, as SIU, once the investigations are done and the investigators, well, even at the moment, we are able to recommend some of the systemic improvements. We do have a section at SIU that deals with systemic improvement, and it focuses now on systemic investigations, corruption prevention, and so on. So that team will be working with the department here to take the process forward on how to review the system so that there's mitigation. The Office of the President, because the Office of the President has also created a mechanism to monitor the implementation of recommendations. So the presidency was called and SIU also attended. The focus is on ensuring that there's consequence management. It's really no longer business as usual. We have said it before, we'll continue to say it, that we want to see consequence management in all its aspects, whether it's criminal prosecution, whether it's disciplinary action, civil recovery of damages, recovery of losses, also blacklisting of all these companies that have been found here, and not just the companies, but also the directors. Because you know that once you blacklist a company, they go out and then resurface as a different company. So we need to blacklist the directors as well. We want the regulators to also institute consequence management. The referrals in this case to SAPRA and all other regulators. So we want to see the whole system really working in terms of consequence management. And you know that if that system works and works effectively, we are going to see now this perpetual impunity being reduced and being dealt with. I want to also say, MEC, you mentioned that some of the processes of disciplinary action could not or were stopped once the individuals resigned and so on. I'd like to assure the public that this question comes up always, that what happens to those who resign and that the employer cannot take action. In that case, I can assure you that if those employees have been involved and were referred to NPA for criminal action, the criminal process will follow them. And also if they contributed to the damages and losses, they will also be cited in the civil proceedings so that we recover. That's why I indicated that we will recover the lost monies and assets from officials and from civil, service providers. So they are not let loose once they have resigned from their employment. Thank you.
Minister?
Thank you very much. I think there's only one question for me. The issue of putting Gauteng, I presume is the Department of Health, under Section 100. Well, the question was not under Section 100, set under administration. I assume, yes, I assume it's under Section 100. But it says, when is the minister going to use his powers to put the province under administration? Ministers don't have any power whatsoever to put any province under administration. That power is in Section 100, 1A or B of the Constitution. And that power is executed by the National Cabinet, but they must get permission from the National Council of Provinces. You've got to give all the reasons why the province must be under administration. And usually, we resort to administration if nothing else can be done. I don't think we have reached a situation where nothing could be corrected in Gauteng. Usually, Section 100, if you look at the areas where we apply Section 100, because it has been done before, it's Limpopo and Northwest. We usually do it when the people who are in charge there, they themselves have shown clearly that there is absolutely nothing that they can do to change that situation. Then you resort to Section 100 and you put administrators. At the present moment, I have got an appointment with the Premier and the MEC and the MEC Finance. We are going to sit together to look at some of the issues that have been raised. I do not think we are at the level where we could say Gauteng is doing nothing. On these issues of corruption, I'm sure you are aware that the advocate in TV, the SIU is there because they were called by the province, which means they were doing something. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Let me clarify the issue that they say HOD raised of the financial crisis.
Okay.
Yeah, because they will live here thinking that we don't have money. There was a question that, Minister, I'm sorry that I speak after you, that says we have financial crisis. I want to invite colleagues to come to the 14th floor. I'll bring the HOD, the acting CFO, and present to you in my boardroom the finances of the department. When we present that report, you are going to see that the Department of Health needs more money because we've tightened controls now. We're even going to show you areas now that we are able to make sure that we bring money to the department. Just last month, Minister, we had to bring back in one of the areas where there were loopholes, 21 million, but I think it's still not enough that we're bringing it to the coffers of department ourselves. We're paying accruals, colleagues in the Department of Health, that were done more than 20 years back. We don't even get a cent from provincial treasury because they say there is no money. But I've said I'm not going to stop not paying those accruals because there is no money. We're making means, we're paying those accruals. We're paying service providers that you all know that in this room. We used not to pay service providers because the department didn't have money because of some of the things that you have seen today that were happening in this institution. Standing here proudly in front of you that even last month, we wanted to pay all service providers. Our value chain is between 0 to, how many, it's 9,000 that we must pay every month of the suppliers that are in the system that needs their money. And we're paying them. But what happened now, we end up bloating even treasury, where you have a meeting with the MEC for finance, that they must make sure now that their systems are stronger, are tighter, because we couldn't pay all service providers because they say we bring more service providers now that must be paid with our money that we have. So there is not a single service provider now that we're not paying. The ones of 20 years back, what we have done, Program Director, is to make arrangements with them. Because if we're owing you 30 million, we can't give you 30 million of 20 years back. But we're doing verification. We want you to show us which project that you did. Because in most of those cases, they come from infrastructure through DID. And if we don't see the project that we have done, we don't pay you. But if you have a project and you say these are the millions that we owe you, we say fine, let's sit down then. Our lawyers are sitting at the back. We make negotiations and arrangements with you so that we are paying you. So no service provider now that is not paid in Gauteng because we don't have money. Because we've made means to have money with what we are getting from the grant, from the national, which we do appreciate, Minister, and from the provincial treasury and our equitable share, but no extra money that they give us, including those that we don't know them. But we're saying, because we're here, you know, anything that happens there, it's your responsibility. I've taken that responsibility. Hence, I'm not scared now of going anywhere, even in the mall. When people see me better, I say, bring that invoice, we will pay you, and we're paying them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MEC. We are allowing for the next round. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the hands that I'm seeing. 5. Oh, you are next to me, I didn't see you. Okay, we will do with this 5. Let's start there.
Thanks, Program Director, and thanks to the officials who are here, and specifically to Andy Motivi, for the report. Outside of the report, I think what we get, my name is Nishan Bolton from the Kathrada Foundation, not from any media, but civil society were invited to come here today. I've also been asked by Babita's family to come here because they couldn't be here. I think what the report says is there's a culture issue of corruption in the Department of Health. I've worked in government for a low-level official to do what is being described here. It's impossible when the entire culture of the organization is such that it allows for that to happen. And that means it is, and that's where I think I'm not sure about the conclusions of Advocate Motivi. It might be that the officials identified are lower ranking, but nothing gets signed or bypasses senior management or should never have been. So I think that that's a fundamental difference that I would have with such a report, placing the blame on low-level officials only. It can only happen when the entire system above them allows for this. So I think that that's a conclusion that we would want to contest once we've gone through the report. On the issue of culture, the department is going to have to figure out, how do you change this culture? Now, MEC, at the second Babita anniversary, you had committed to take the family of Babita through this hospital, walk them through so they could see what it is that she had exposed and where this had originated from. We're still waiting for that to happen. I think secondly, there was a commitment that the documentary from News 24 would be screened to health workers. That has never happened. We do these screenings in communities. And I think it would be useful to come to one of them and see the kinds of discussion that it promotes. That needs to happen with health workers. I think every health worker in this province needs to sit down and watch the documentary. And if possible, this report must be turned into a case study so that all of senior managers understand what happened at Tembisa and are able to identify it in their specific areas. Because if the Premier is right, and what has happened at Tembisa is being replicated in other health institutions, then I don't think there's a need to wait for the final report. There needs to be action, and action immediately now. But the last issue is really the most simple of all here, is the complete transparency of finances and tenders. There was a time during COVID when tender information and those who were receiving it was made public. That's not being done anymore. I appreciate the invite from the MEC, and I hope that that is arranged, but not as a once-off. But I think furthermore is the complete transparency about who exactly is getting paid to do what, and more so those below the 500,000 threshold, because that's where the system has gone wrong. And I think that once you find a way of releasing all tender information, it closes the loop even further. So those are the practical things that I hope the department is going to take into account and respond to. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is behind you.
My name is Martin Mkwati, a resident here in Hospital View, and a concerned citizen. I've got a few questions.
Please make it short. Please make it short.
I've got a question directed to the MEC. I just want to make a contribution to say, if you want to buy skinny jeans, don't outsource. Use your resources to buy skinny jeans. In a bigger picture, this tender system is the cause of corruption. So I heard the mayor saying, the premier saying that they are working to tighten the tender system. But if they can eliminate the tender system, but because that is the source of corruption, the tender mafias, they are waiting for opportunities that tenders must be introduced so that they can hijack projects. And then I'll come to Babita. I don't think that Ntatempie to wait up until 2027. This incident took place 2021. We are now in the 4th year, running into the 5th year. That we should wait again another 2 years to get feedback or maybe tangible results of the investigation. I think that is stretching. And then the last one, MEC. I heard you inviting the community or maybe the people at Mass that we should go to 8th floor. Is it today? And anytime, 8th floor. Okay. And then your Tuesday meetings where they held. Thank you.
I don't think Tuesday meetings are for you. The Tuesday meetings are for the MEC. You should have heard it correctly. She wants accountability. Okay. And yeah, the next one.
Christian Du Plessis from Netwerk 24. My question is addressed to the Minister. So, Christian Du Plessis, yes, Minister. My question is, what do you think is the likelihood of this corruption at this level that we are seeing in Tembisa Hospital? Or what is the likelihood that it's only isolated to Tembisa Hospital? And what is the implications of the corruption we found now here for the broader healthcare system and other hospitals? Thank you.
Thank you. Last two. Oh, your hand was up. I didn't see you because that guy there was the next in line. We'll come back to you. What about, just because you have the mic, let's go.
My name is Marsha Moyana, freelancer for Health News. My question is directed to the Minister. In his address, the advocate mentioned that officials abdicated their duties here at Tembisa Hospital, and we obviously know that whatever duty has been abdicated has a direct impact on patients' experiences here at this particular hospital. I mean, we know all the issues with Tembisa Hospital, but what do you have to say to all the patients who have been affected by this? There was also a fire which affected some patients, and as the head of the department, what do you have to say to them, and also to patients having confidence that when they come to Tembisa Hospital, they will receive that the services that they are here for, and that they will not be told that there's no medication because money has been used elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll do the last two.
Thank you very much. My name is Monobi Simbasa from Treatment Action Campaign. The two questions I think have been answered by the MEC regarding the accruals and service providers that have not been paid. But I wanted to check with respect to the bogus service providers that have been implicated in the report to say, have they been blacklisted or are they still about to be blacklisted? And how far that is going to take you to ensure that we are able to hold these people accountable. And my last question will be to the Minister. Minister, I'm sure you are aware that the public healthcare system is in trouble because the 6 building blocks of public healthcare are in shambles. And I wanted to check from you to say, from your department, and I'm raising this from a public healthcare user point of view, how far are we in terms of strengthening all those pillars? Because if you were to get 5 correct and 1 is not correct, still the public healthcare system is still going to be in the trouble that is in, and are the users that are actually feeling the pinch. Perhaps if you can give us timelines in respect to that. Thank you very much.
And the last one is here. I didn't see the hand, but we'll come back to you because I thought she was the last person. Because I don't want people to just come after I have nominated the number because it's not helpful. Okay.
Hi, my name is Gwena Mashale from the Sowetan. I wanted to know the exact. My name is Gwena Mashale from the Sowetan. I wanted to know what the exact timeline of the lootings exactly started. Because you indicated that there was increase between 2018 2019, but do we exactly have the exact timeline of the looting? Thank you.
Okay. Let's accommodate you because I want us to get to the close of the press conference.
Good morning. I was beginning to think that you are afraid of me because of I've got COVID-19.
I don't know that.
Yeah,
therefore, I wouldn't be afraid of you.
Thank you so much. My name is Mbora Sero. I'm a spokesperson for the disgruntled 20 nurses that served COVID, and now they are now jobless. They are sitting at home. Nobody is taking care of them. I want to know from the Minister and the NEC, what is it that you're going to do with these people? These are the people I worked with them, they served the country with aplomb, who were here day and night, but now the nurses are sitting at home and no help inside.
When you say here, you mean the hospital here?
Yes, we serve this hospital with aplomb. What's the shift leader here?
No, I just wanted to make sure, because I don't want us to be dealing with other issues that are not related to what we are doing here.
No, I'm talking about this hospital.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We can now respond. We start with you, NBC.
I'll start ngamanesi kaBhuti that are disgruntled ahlezi ekhaya. If those nurses are qualified and they were working, I don't think they should have been sitting at home. Because we had a meeting with the Premier at the Gauteng legislature, and he instructed me and the HOD that we must employ all the nurses that were working during COVID-19. We made a call, all the hospitals, that they must forward the list, but you must go where you were working with your payslip. And even now, last month, we've taken a group of nurses that some are retired nurses because we have a shortage of nurses. We want those that qualifies to come. Angbaz abo bako Bhuti, lo list abo baipina with the pay slips zabo. They must go to the hospitals where they were working, go to the CEO's office and HR so that they can start investigating them and accommodate them. If you can go to every hospital, it's the first time that I hear that they are nurses. The people that I know, some of them that were not taken are the clerks, are the people who were cleaning because of they were told to stop employing people. If you remember the moratorium. So, but when vacancies come, we will definitely prioritize those people. Some of them I even met with them at Eden Vale when Premier had a meeting there last year. So this one, give it to them, tell them, message, with your pay slip so that they can be checked in the system. That's the message that you must tell them. Then we'll look into that. The question I think is Nyezia Baba, but quickly. The one that I've picked up, it was on the issue of the systems. One of the Supreme, I think, spoke about it, the open tender system that is there, that makes us at least to speak about the issues of transparency. But again, I'm sure it's something that if there is no transparency, it's something that people must look into it, because it's a provincial treasury department that runs that space, that sends circulars to us so that we are able to look into those things. Commissioner was speaking about the things that I've promised them that I will do. I wrote a document telling Premier about the outcome of our meeting with the two things that you said I must do. Premier said the Premier's office will lead on that, because it can be led by the Department of Health. Because the issue about data and even those that have passed on that Premier was raising, he will attend to those so that it can be one person. He said we must work on a document that talks to everyone. It's with the Premier's office, including the one of visiting the hospital. He said the family, when it comes, they must come with him, because he is the one that is centrally responsible for the issues about it. I'm prepared to do it any time, but I can't do it now because it's led by the Premier. If you remember, even the event that I was addressing on that day, I was representing him. He was supposed to come. Hence, the outcome of the discussions, I had to take them to him and be guided by him. What is it that we're going to do and how we can do that? I'm sure HOD will definitely forward that document to yourself so that you be aware what is it that we have done in terms of the issues that we are raising. I fully agree with you with the culture of change that we must do, not only in this hospital. And I think again, there was somebody that was asking, what about other hospitals? When you tighten controls, now I'm talking as a financial person, you don't tighten controls in one area that is open. If you have 37 hospitals and other clinics, and because it means I'm almost managing about 500 institutions. All those institutions, the message is the same. This is how things are going to be done. If there's a template that they are using, The template is the same, it goes to everyone. That's why even other hospitals, when you go, you will not find open-ended thing like this one. Hence, those meetings, on Tuesdays with the executive, those meeting. Nobody likes those meetings, by the way. They know that it's a donor day on Tuesday. So it's not a good meeting. I'm not sure if we have a heart and a thick skin to be in that meeting, because it's not for everyone that gets in there and get out not crying, whether you're a man or a woman, if you're not delivering. So, but the one, even the one that I'm saying, it's the journalists that I'm inviting. I'm not inviting civil society. I have a platform with yourselves that I discuss with you the issues that you are asking me. So the media is the one that I'm saying I'm open to them, that I can open the books so that they can see. Because they had this perception that in that department there's nothing that we have stopped. Corruption is still the same. So that open discussion with them, I always say to them, that's why it becomes easier, even for me to stand in front of them, because where do I take this document? What guides me to do that? And that's how journalists need. I nearly became a journalist, by the way. That's how journalists need. They need you to be open. If we are uyenza, and why are you not doing? What causes you not to proceed with this? So that's why they want those open questions. I'm available for journalists, not for you, because those are private documents, the state. But Nina, in your meetings as public and civil society, when we have our meetings, you know that issues that are related to your finances and your assistance that must be done and the programs that we are running, I always present those things to yourselves. I think other questions are going to Minister and Ubaba. But on the patients' care, we do take care of our patients. We have the acting CEO, Dr. Lowe. I'm sure you can see the changes in this hospital. Now she has lost a bit of weight. She has been here because there's so much improvement. We no longer get complaints, even to the citizens. We say Tembisa like we used to do before. We're not 100%, but at least there's improvement. During the fire, we never closed the hospital completely. And we told all journalists that we're here. I'm sure the journalist that is asking was not here, the program director, because we were clear that there's an ambulance outside with the doctors, but there's a room inside that takes care of the patients. But now, we've opened it now. Everyone comes here in Tembisa because we didn't want to chase people away. So we're still having around 83% when it comes to patients' care as the hospital, because we do take care of our patients. The other thing that we are not talking about it, advocate here, this hospital is not servicing the people from Tembisa. We service people from Deep Slot, Olive North Bush. I can take you to the pharmacy now and ask 1, 2. The second book will say Olive North Bush. Minister the DM did that exercise with me one time of checking where do you come from. Some from Davidton, from all these areas around the province. Hence, we're channeling our energy to improve here, because it's not only the people that reside in Tembisa that we're treating them. They come from Johannesburg and other areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Advocate.
Okay. No, thank you very much. Let me respond to a question by Mr. Nishan Bolton. The finding that we have made is as at the time of this interim report. The investigation, as we said, is still ongoing, and I've indicated it clearly in one of the responses earlier that we will look at accountability at all levels. Right. So the team will continue to look at the process, right? Who executed, who signed, who authorized, and so on. That is what I expect going forward. But as we speak, if you look at the list, and bear with me for a moment, if you look at the list of the officials, official 1, it's hospital level management, salary level 9, okay? that official, and we will name them, like the MEC named those. We will name them once they've been through the disciplinary process and so on. And we will really follow through so that when we release the final report, we are also able to mention the names. This is salary level, hospital level management. This person received 30 million. Okay? Disciplinary referral made, and also the matter has been prioritized for NPA. The next official that we name in the report, in the interim report, official number 2 is a clerk, right? And that's a salary level 5, which is considered an entry position. This one got 2.2 million. Okay? Disciplinary referral made, NPA prioritized. This is a clerk level. Okay? We're not indicating what was his or her responsibility and so on. The investigators will look at that. They would have looked at it anyway to make this finding. Right. Official number 3, hospital level management, salary 7. Right? So you can see that the management level is also included. This one on this occasion got 950,000. Official number 4, hospital level management, salary 10. Right? He got 26 million. And this is confirmed. Right? The investigators confirmed this. Right? We can stand on our 2 feet and defend this evidence. Okay? Official number 5, hospital level salary level is a PNB 3. It's a management position. He got 27.9 million. Okay? Confirmed by evidence, by investigations. Now, the other official, assistant nurse, salary level 3, entry level. Okay? What's the amount? 7.3 million. Assistant nurse got. Now, official 7 is a clerk, right? Entry level, got 1.1 million. Official 8 is a clerk, entry level, got 2.2 million. Official 9 is a clerk, right? Got 2.4 million. Official 10 is a clerk, got 6.3 million. Official 11, it's a medical staff. They're just not indicating the level there. Official 12, I'm almost at the end. Hospital level management. This one got 7.4 million. Official 13, hospital level management. Got 13 million. Official 14, hospital level management. Got 5.5 million. Official 15 is a clerk who got 1.8. Those are the officials that we are naming thus far in the report. The investigation is ongoing. We expect, and the investigating teams know that we expect that the business process starts and ends elsewhere. And we are also going to look at the oversight responsibilities in terms of the Public Finance Management Act. Okay? The Public Finance Management Act makes provision for the accounting officer responsibilities, the executive officer responsibilities, and, right? So we're not leaving it here, right? These are just some of the officials that we name. The investigation is ongoing, it's not concluded. So we are going to ensure that everyone in the food chain, in the process, is identified and dealt with. Right. I thought I would mention all of those because not all of you will see the report. So it's important to really deal with the issue raised around who really gets held to account here, and that I really want to dispel a view, if it's ever formed, that anyone in the process is left unattended to. We are going to make sure about that. Right. There's a colleague who mentioned, I think he said he's from Hospital View. He said, we can't wait until 2027. I agree with you. I addressed that part. 2027 is way ahead. We need to conclude this, and the team will come back with a reviewed end date. But you said we can't wait 2027 wait for tangible results. That is not the case. What we are presenting to you is tangible results, actionable, right? It's not actions that should wait until the end of the report, right? Assets have been freezed. We didn't wait for the end of the report. The officials have been sent. Those who are found wanting have been sent for action to be taken now, right? We have sent evidence. We have sent everything. We have sent matters, a bundle of evidence to the National Prosecuting Authority. I indicated they are already taking action, and that's why you could see the asset forfeiture unit being at work, right? Freezing as a process to ensure that the prosecution follows. I think it's very, very important to understand that part of consequence management, that, you know, it is this failure to act that has caused, you know, this perpetual impunity, that these people would continue to do what they are doing with the view that nothing will happen to them. So if action is taken, we will send a good message that, you know, anyone thinking to get involved in these activities should really stop. Blacklisting of service providers. Yes, I got a confirmation from the investigators. That process of blacklisting will be followed, and I see the MEC is nodding. We will work with the department to ensure that the blacklisting process ensues and follows. Just for you to note, some of the companies that were used, just to show the opportunistic nature of this, most of them were shelf companies. And if you know what a shelf company is, it's a company that has been registered but is not in use. There used to be other companies that sell, that deal with shelf companies. I'm not sure if they still exist. But you know, you would go to that company, buy a shelf company, and then use. We saw this phenomenon when we investigated PPEs way back, right? But this, because of the extent, you could see that these people were seeing this as a feeding trough, right? They just got shelf companies because they had already arranged, come with a shelf company, get it, you know, registered in the SEM process here because of the collusion, right? I mean, you can't come with a shelf company if a process is followed properly. That company will never make it. But because there was collusion, they included this company, and to make sure that, you know, the payments are made. But that irrespective, that company will also still be blacklisted. I think those were the main questions I wanted to address, Minister. Sorry I took a while. I wanted to make sure that they're addressed fully.
Timeline.
Oh yes, timeline. Timeline. We, as you can see, well, we picked it from 2018, 2019, right? Perhaps, Mr. Reddy, where you are, the timeline for the investigation. You see, it starts from 2018-19 and 2022. The 21-22 Babita raised flags, and the MEC, the MEC of course, and the Office of the Premier, let me say, worked with SIU to do some investigation there, and we found that there were issues, and that's why it led us to a proclamation, right? So the period, and perhaps we need to just indicate 18 to 2024, but usually the proclamation would indicate, you know, even periods beyond or even after. I'd like to, there's Mr. Reddy there, but because this is a public platform, at the moment, please take into account that the period covers 18-19 to 23-24, but that shows the expenditure, but we would like to ensure that we cover even reports that come after 2024. But my colleague will be able to indicate to you. Thank you.
I think we'll take care to you after the press conference.
Thank you very much. I really believe Advocate Mutivi has dealt with the questions from Mr. Bolton, but I would like to appeal with you, Mr. Bolton, to re-examine the stance we have taken where you said you're going to challenge part of the report of the SIU where they are talking about small fish and big fish and say small fish can cause a lot of damage. I would really like you to have a re-look at it, because quite often junior officials do hide behind the fact that I was instructed by somebody from above. I wish to remind you that former Deputy Chief Justice Musenege dismissed this at the arbitration of Life is Demanding, where everybody was saying, no, I was instructed. And he even roughly asked one of those who said was instructed. He said, please kill this one, I'm instructing you. Can you do it? Just showing the absurdity of it all. So in my view, Mr. Bolton, nobody must ever be exonerated because of their status, whether junior or senior. And all we're emphasizing is that there is a lot of damage, which is also done at junior level. The second reason I want you to consider it, you are right in the case of health, that somebody senior has to sign. That it happens mostly in the case of supply chains, that somebody has to sign. But I can assure you, having been in government for a long time, the people who are experts are the ones at the bottom. They can make you sign things which you think are authentic. They can. They've been able to do that because they know how to manipulate the system and all that. So we must not really leave that out. In Home Affairs, as I said, the corruption doesn't happen in supply chain. It happens all over. The case I was giving an example about of Mr. T doesn't involve state money. It's just bribery from people who want to enter the country illegally. That report has not yet come. The advocate is going to show you what the findings are. That there was no senior person involved. It was all junior people, all of them doing their things, not through stealing state money, but allowing people who are not supposed to be in the country because they are paying them something. So that also must definitely be considered. I also agree with you, Mr. Bolton, wholeheartedly about the issue of transparency in tenders. I really fully support you. We have just issued a tender for ARVs. I'm sure you saw. Quite a number of people were appealing it. We're able to respond because we have got all the documentation. So I agree with you about transparency. Maybe I forgot something about this issue of junior staff. Advocate, you may remember, when you called to about the PP tender in NHLS, I came to you because one young girl was having parties every weekend. And when people were asking her, she said, and this is a real word, she said, while the media and the public are concentrating on the so-called big fish, we are living large. Yes. Said we are living large while the media and the public, and I took those words to the advocate, that this is what these people are saying. So when you investigate them, please be aware that juniority or seniority, because they are also human beings who get addicted to monies, if you understand what I mean. Now, the issue of tender system causing problems, that's from Martin. Concerned citizen, yes, who introduced himself as the concerned citizen. I also do tend to believe with you, to agree with you. But what I think we need to do as a country, and some of us have been advocating for that, is to have a re-look at the PFMA. Advocate, the PFMA. When you talk about a re-look at PFMA, people say you want to encourage corruption because the PFMA stops corruption. And I said, but there's corruption now with the PFMA. There is. and which are the areas that I want us to look at with the PFMA, is because sometimes they force you, they tell you through Treasury that you must go to the market. Even on something that you can find in an easy way, they say, please go to the market, meaning a tender, meaning you are forced, they tell you the PFMA say so. Now the MEC will know, I called all of them, because out of the austerity that health has suffered for a long time, in this present budget the minister has just read, we're giving 6.7 billion just to get out of austerity. It is better than nothing, it can do something. So we met and agreed on what we are going to do with that money. Part of the things we are going to do, there were 4, but I'll only tell you of one, is to buy linen, bed sheets and all that, because our hospitals don't look very good at that. And I beg Treasury, please allow us not to go on tender, because I know projects done by ordinary people, even disabled people, where they do this type of things, and they don't win tenders. Then they'll say, no, but the PFMA say you must go to the market. In the market, there are jackals there. They are hyenas. Yes. So I beg them, please allow us, because when you go to Silverton, for instance, just as an example, there's a project there by the Department of Labor, run by disabled people. Everything you wear in the hospital, they produce it. They produce linen, sheets, uniforms, and all that. But they lost a tender because they were forced by PFMA to go into the market. And the most painful thing is that after they lost in the market, the people who won went back to them and said, please produce these things for us. And after they produce them, they add a markup of between 10 and 48%. I'm saying so because I went to that side. So this time I said, Treasury, please allow us. No more market. We are going there. Disabled people must produce these things. Must produce. Those are some of the things we can do in order to keep the hyenas at bay. There's a very difficult question here, which might need the whole day. And of course, we don't have that because I have to finish. From the treatment action campaign. Yes, you mentioned that the 6 pillars of a healthcare system are all weak. People might not understand what you are talking about. These are the pillars declared by the World Health Organization, that a healthcare system to be strong, it must be seen with these 6 pillars. The first one, not in any order, is leadership and governance, which is the issues we are talking about here today. Leadership of governance of a system. One is the health workforce, and the 4th one is health financing system. The 3rd one is health information system, and the last one is health delivery system. Where are the weaknesses here? Almost all of them, we find weaknesses, not only in South Africa, in many parts of the world, especially in the African continent. And the World Health Organization has reached a conclusion that the reason that so many of these pillars are weak is because the weakest of them all is health financing system. The manner in which we finance health. Like in South Africa, health, as you know, is financed in favor of the rich. Those who are better off, those who are heavily subsidized, even by government to be on private medical aids, and ordinary people are not subsidized. If we don't get that right, we are likely to be in perpetual mode of a crisis. Because, for instance, look at the issue of health workforce, not being able to hire doctors who don't have jobs. You need money from Treasury, no matter how much you like to hire them as the minister or as an MEC. Treasury has to give you money. If they don't finance you, there's no way that you can deal with this, what you call, with this deliveries, with this pillar. There's another pillar I need to mention which is important. The health information system. Because it's part of the, what we're seeing around with Operation Dudula and all that. And I'm going to call a press conference to talk about that maybe. I'm not opening a can of worms by mentioning Tutula. But I met them. And part of what is missing in our system for those type of things to happen is because we don't have a health information system of tracing a patient from one facility to the other. We don't have it. And many countries don't have it, despite technology being so advanced. We went to the CSIR 8 years ago and asked them to, because we didn't want a tender. When we went there around about 2012, it's because tenders were issued for health information system from the market, from the private sector. And none of them were helpful because each one of them is owned by somebody who pay a license. So we went to CSIR and said, please do us a South African bond system owned by the state, owned by the people of South Africa, where nobody will pay a license. It took them 8 years to come up with it. We are in the process of piloting it. We've already done so. All the hospitals and clinics in the Free State are connected to this system, except only 2 that are still left. And we are running to other provinces to make sure that we implement it. Once it's implemented, we will know who is who because it is working on health patient record registration system, which is linked directly to the Department of Home Affairs. So when you arrive at the hospital and you give your name or whatever, they will know immediately through the processes in the Department of Home Affairs. Who are you, where you come from, whether you come from another country, as long as you came and announce yourself. So that part we're dealing with. The other parts, as I said, are still very difficult, including infrastructure. Part of the long queues in our hospitals, and I think this report was done faster than the infrastructure that we have got. The number of hospitals, as the MECC has said, the number of patients who are coming here. So we do have a system that tells us where we must put new hospitals. And I read them in my budget speech. And Deep Sloth is one of them. There are areas where you need the system work. Lastly, I'm taking this opportunity, I'm taking chances actually. Kaiser, allow me, this is not about you. This is not about this report. Sometimes you over-exaggerate the issues which patients experience in public hospitals. You know, there's a difference between facts and a narrative. The narrative is that nothing is happening in public hospitals. Absolutely nothing. And I was very, very disturbed. I was supposed to be excited because somebody was praising me when I went to St. John's Hospital for my eye. I'm actually going again this week for the second eye. I was very disturbed when people said I put my eyesight at risk. Really? The minister trusts public hospitals so much, he put his own eyesight at risk. Firstly, I will never do that. I will never put my eyesight at risk. Never, ever. I want you to write that down. So I went there because I knew my eyesight is not at risk. Because there are experts there. Now, when you arrive there at St. John's, they see 700 patients every day. And they perform 24 eye operations every day. Are you seeing all those 700 people every day? Their eyesight is put at risk. At the end of the year, they will have done 3,000 operations. They do them. I do some of the difficult operations which I have done at Steve Biko Academic Hospital. Will you believe it if I tell you, as I'm standing here now, I called the patients there and the media reported nothing about it. The nuclear medicine unit at Steve Biko Academic Hospital, it gets patients from Europe who are directly referred from Europe to go to Steve Biko. Because Professor Sateka, who's running that clinic, is a world authority. Then when you read that, no, every time you go to a public hospital, you are putting something at risk, it's painful. Chris Ali Barabanath Hospital has got the best bench unit on the continent. There is none like it. Steve Biko Academic Hospital, again, apart from nuclear unit, the alpha targeting for cancer cells. That's where patients from Europe come. They've already seen 50 patients from Europe since 2017 who refer them directly and say, go to Steve Biko. But when you are in South Africa, it's all gloom and doom and everything, eyesight at risk and all that. Please write it down. I'll never put my eyesight at risk. I went there because I knew nothing is at risk. Because who are these professors who are doing these operations? They taught everybody who's in the private sector. Where did they get the knowledge from? We don't have private medical schools. They were taught by these very same people. The only reason that they do well, they don't do well, is because we don't give them facilities to do so. That's where the weakness is. And that's why I agree with you about the pillars. On the pillars, if you don't give them facilities, they look very stupid, but they know the job. And we are going to fight that they do get the facilities. Thank you very much. I'm going to do my second eye operation this week. Not at risk.
And we can see, Minister, you are not even wearing spectacles anymore.
Can I just clarify the time period? I'm standing to just clarify the time period. Because if you go and ask my colleague there, the others will not hear. So the timeline in terms of the proclamation, it's from the 1st of January 2020 to the date of publication of the proclamation, which is the 1st September 2023. However, when we get allegations and reports dating before the 1st of January 2020 or after the 1st of September 2023, we are able to investigate those. So that's the authorized proclamation. Yeah. So the focus period 1 Jan 2020 to 1st September 2023, but we can attend to allegations that date before and after if they relate to the substance that we are investigating. Thank you.
Thank you, Advocate. Colleagues, we have been here